Okay. We're about to get back started. Alright, I'm sorry about that, everyone. So we're going to continue with number 8. We have negative 7 plus x equals negative 18. Our goal is to get x by itself, and we're going to do that by adding 7 on each side. On the left side, we're going to get x. And on the right side, negative 18 plus 7 is going to be negative 11. For number 21, we need to get n by itself, and now instead of one-step equations, all the equations that we've done before number 21 have just taken one step to solve. Now we're going to have equations that take more than one step. So in order to get n by itself, we have to get rid of the two things around n. The first thing is multiplying 8, and the second thing is subtracting 5. We're going to get rid of the subtracting 5 first, and then we're going to get rid of the multiplication with 8. So first, we need to get rid of the 5. Since it's 8n minus 5, we have to add 5 to both sides. On the left side, the minus 5 plus 5 cancel, and we're left with 8n. And this is going to equal 139 plus 5 is going to be 144. Now we're going to divide each side by 8. And we're going to get that n equals 144 divided by 8. Let's see what that is. 144 divided by 8 is 18. Yep. N is 18. For number 22, we have two ways that we can approach this problem. We can either divide negative 4 on both sides or distribute the negative 4. We'll start off with distributing. Negative 4 times 7 is negative 28 minus 4v equals 28. Next, to get v by itself, first we have to add 28 over to the other side. So we're going to add 28 on both sides. And we're going to get negative 4v equals 28 plus 28, which is 56. To get v by itself, we're going to divide each side by negative 4. And finally, we'll get that v equals 56 divided by negative 4, which is negative 14. So next, for number 23, we have negative 2 minus 3a equals negative 23. Our first step is going to be to add 2 to both sides. This is plus 2. On the left side, we're going to have negative 3a. And then on the right side, negative 23 plus 2 is negative 21. Then the last step to get a by itself is going to be to divide by negative 3 on both sides. And we'll get that a equals positive 7. For number 24, we can either distribute the negative 4 and then solve for x, how we did in number 22. Or we can divide each side by negative 4, which is the number on the outside of the parentheses. So in this one, we'll divide each side by negative 4. On the left side, the negative 4 on the outside and the negative 4 we're dividing by both cancel. and we just have x minus 4 equals negative 44 divided by negative 4 is positive 11. X minus 4 equals 11. To get x by itself, we add 4 to both sides, and we'll get that x equals 15. For number 25, we have 60 equals negative 5 times x minus 6. We're going to divide each side by negative 5. On the left side, 60 divided by negative 5 is negative 12. And on the right side, the negative 5s on the outside and on the bottom both cancel. So we're just left with x minus 6. The last step to get x by itself is going to be to add 6 to both sides. And we're going to get negative 12 plus 6 is negative 6 is equal to x. For number 26, we have negative 6 equals n over negative 14 minus 5. First, we need to add 5 to both sides. On the right side, then minus 5 plus 5 cancel, and we're left with n over negative 14. And on the left side, negative 6 plus 5 is going to be negative 1. Finally, to get n by itself, we're going to multiply by negative 14 on each side. On the left side, negative 14 times negative 1 is going to be positive 14. And on the right side, n over negative 14 times negative 14. The negative 14 on top and on the bottom cancel, and we're left with just n. So we get that n equals 14. So 1 second. Alright, for the next one, number 27, we have 7 plus n over 6 equals negative 1. What we're going to do first is multiply both sides by 6. So we're going to multiply the left side by 6 and the right side by 6. On the left, the 6 we're multiplying by and the 6 on the bottom are going to cancel. And we're going to have 7 plus n equals negative 1 times 6, which is negative 6. Then to get n by itself, we're going to subtract 7 on both sides. And we're going to get n equals negative 13. For number 28, we're going to have the same first step as for number 27. Here we're going to multiply both sides by negative 2. On the left side, when we multiply by negative 2, the negative 2 on top, negative 2 on the bottom cancel. And we have b minus 8. And then on the right side, 11 times negative 2 is going to be negative 22. The last step to get b by itself is going to be to add 8 to both sides. Negative 22 plus 8 is going to give us negative 14, which is our answer for b. Remember that if you have any questions, make sure that you put it in the chat because I'm checking every so often. So if you have any questions, make sure you put them there. Number 29, we have negative 8x minus 10 equals 38. So here, in order to get x by itself, first we need to get rid of the minus 10. We do that by adding 10 on both sides. We'll get negative 8x equals 38 plus 10 is 48. Then to get x by itself, we're going to divide each side by negative 8. And we'll get x equals 48 divided by negative 8. which is -6. So for the last question here, number 30, to get v by itself, first we're going to add 5 to both sides. On the left side, that's going to leave us with 3v equals 40 plus 5 is 45. Then to get v by itself, we have to divide by 3 on both sides. On the left, we're left with v. On the right, 45 divided by 3 is 15. So if you have any questions, please include it in the chat right now. If not, then I'll move on to the next page that we're going to go through. All right. So the first page was just some practice problems that I went over. The second page is going to be SAT questions that have to do with linear equations. So all of these were pulled from an actual SAT and have to do with getting x by itself and solving equations for a variable. So we'll get started with this first one. So here it says if x minus 1 over 3 equals k, and k equals 3, what is the value of x? Let's move this here. What is x? So what they tell us first is that k equals 3. So we're going to plug in this value in for k. This equation will turn into x minus 1 over 3. And now instead of equals k, we're going to write equals 3. Now how do we get x by itself? First, we need to multiply by 3 on both sides. On the left side, the 3's cancel, and we have x minus 1. This is going to equal, on the right side, 3 times 3 is 9. Our last step to get x by itself is going to be to add 1 to both sides. And we'll get that x equals 10, which is D. For this second one, we have R equals F over N plus F. A website uses the formula above to calculate sellers' rating R based on the number of favorable reviews F and unfavorable reviews N. Which of the following expresses the number of favorable reviews in terms of the other variables? So we really don't have to read this portion of the question. When we see that we have an equation and then we look at all of our answer choices, it's obvious that we have to get F by itself from the equation. All of our answer choices have F equals, F equals, F equals, and we have an equation with F in it. So we have to try to get F by itself. The first step in order to get F by itself is going to be to multiply the denominator on the right side to both sides. So we're going to multiply both sides by n plus f, n plus f, and n plus f. On the left side, we're going to have r times n plus f. And on the right side, the n plus f on top, n plus f on the bottom, they cancel each other out. And we're going to have just f left over. Next, we're going to distribute the r. And we're going to have rn plus rf equals f. Now, whenever we have a variable that we're trying to get by itself that shows up on both sides, what we have to do is put all of those terms to one side. So everything that has an f should be on one side of the equal sign together, and everything else should be on the other side. So all we have to do to get all the f's on the right side is subtract rf, or move rf over to the right side of the equation. So we're going to subtract rf on both sides, and we're going to get that rn equals f minus rf. Now that we have the variable that we're looking for together on one side, what we're able to do is factor the f out. If we factor an f out, we're going to have 1 minus r left over. This is the opposite of distributing. If we have f times 1 minus r and we distribute the f back in, we'll end up where we started. So we're just doing the opposite of distributing. And this is still going to be equal to Rn. The last step to get f by itself, since it's f times 1 minus r, we have to do the opposite operation and divide each side by 1 minus r. So we're going to divide each side by 1 minus r, and we're going to get that f equals Rn over 1 minus r, which is answer B. For this third question, we have L equals 24 plus 3.5 m. One end of a spring is attached to a ceiling. When an object of mass m kilograms is attached to the other end of the spring stretches to a length of L centimeters, as shown in the equation above. What is m when L is 73? So we want to know what is m when L equals 73. So we have our equation L equals 24 plus 3.5 m. And instead of L, we're going to plug in what L is equal to, which is 73. So we're going to have 73 equals 24 plus 3.5 m. Next, we're going to subtract 24 on each side. 73 minus 24 is going to give us 49, which equals 3.5 m. And then in order to get m by itself, we're going to divide each side by 3.5. On the right side, 3.5 cancels and we have m. And on the left side, 49 divided by 3.5 is going to give us 14. This question came from a calculator section, so you'll be able to use your calculator for this question. And that'll be answer choice A. Give me 1 second before I move on. Alright, so next we have if 5 over x equals 15 over x plus 20, what is the value of x over 5? So what we're going to do is find out what x is equal to, and then we're just going to divide it by 5. So what we have to do here, since we have a fraction equals another fraction, we're going to cross multiply. 5 times x plus 20, we have to make sure that the 5 is multiplying by both the x and the 20. So we're going to make sure of that by adding the parentheses. And this is going to be equal to x times 15, which is 15x. If we distribute the 5, we're going to get 5x plus 100 equals 15x. To get x by itself, we have to combine like terms. We're going to subtract 5x on both sides. On the left side, it cancels, and we're left with 100. On the right side, 15x minus 5x is going to give us 10x. Then to get x by itself, we're going to divide each side by 10. And we're going to get that x equals 100 over 10, which is just 10. So we get that x equals 10, but the question is not asking us what is 10. It's asking us for, what is x? It's asking us for x over 5. So since we know that x equals 10, we're going to plug that in for x in the question. So x over 5, which is really 10 over 5, is just 2. And this is the answer to this question. Okay. So for this next question, we have 2p plus 6 equals 8 plus 7p. And our goal is to get what the value of p is that satisfies the equation. So we have 2p plus 6 equals 8 plus 7p. First, we're going to subtract 2p on both sides. On the left side, the 2p's cancel, and we're left with 6 equals 8. And then 7p minus 2p is going to be plus 5p. Next, we need to try to get p by itself, so we're going to subtract 8 on both sides. On the left side, 6 minus 8 is going to be negative 2. And on the right side, we have 5p. Now to get p by itself, we have to divide by 5 on both sides. And we're going to get that negative 2 over 5 equals p. And this is going to be answer choice B. For this next question, we have if 7 over 9x minus 4 over 9x equals 1 over 4 plus 5 over 12, what is the value of x? If you don't like fractions, then there is something that we can do in order to get rid of all of the fractions. So if we multiply everything by the least common denominator, we're going to get rid of all of the fractions that we have. So we need to think about what is a factor, or what has a factor of 9, 4, and 12. The smallest number that has all of these as factors is 36. When we multiply 36 by 7 over 9, this 36 is 4 times 9. The 9 from the 36 and the 9 on the bottom cancel. So we'll have 4 times 7 times x minus, the same thing happens when we multiply 36 by the second term. It's going to be minus 4 times x equals, here now the 4 is going to cancel, and we're going to have 9 times 1 plus 36 divided by 12 is 3 times 5. So we're dividing 36 by the number on the bottom, and whatever's left over, we're multiplying that by the top. 4 times 7 is 28x. 4 times 4 is going to be minus 16x. This is going to equal 9 plus 15. On the left side, 28x minus 16x is going to be 12x. And this is going to equal 9 plus 15, which is 24. So we have 12x equals 24. To get x by itself, we're going to divide each side by 12. On the left side, we'll have x. On the right side, 24 divided by 12 is 2, which is going to be our answer. For this next question, we have if 3r equals 18, what is the value of 6r plus 3? So if 3r equals 18, we can get r by itself by dividing each side by 3. On the left side, the 3's cancel, and we're left with r. On the right side, 18 divided by 3 is 6. So we find that r equals 6. But remember, the question is not asking for r. It's asking for 6r plus 3. So 6r plus 3. We know what r is now. So we're going to plug that in for r. So this is going to be 6 times r, which is 6, plus 3. 6 times 6 is 36, plus 3 is 39, which is going to be answer choice D. Give me 1 second. Okay, so for this next one, we're first going to have to distribute the numbers that are outside of the parentheses. So first we're going to distribute 4 inside of the first set of parentheses. 4 times x is 4x. 4 times 1 is plus 4. And this is going to equal 6 plus 2 times x, which is 2x. And then 2 times 1, which is plus 2. We need to combine like terms. On the right side of the equal sign, we have 6 plus 2. This is going to be rewritten as 4x plus 4 equals 2x plus 8. Next, we need to combine like terms. So we're going to move this 2x to the left side by subtracting 2x on both sides. On the right side, the 2's cancel. 2x cancels with minus 2x, and we're left with 8. On the left side, 4x minus 2x is 2x plus 4. To get x by itself, first we subtract 4 on each side. We have 2x equals 8 minus 4 is 4. And then to get x by itself, we're going to divide each side by 2. And we'll get that x equals 4 divided by 2, which is 2. So notice that the question is not asking for what is x equal to. It's asking for what is x plus 1. So all we have to do is add 1 to the value we got for x. 2 plus 1 is 3. So we get that B is our answer for this question. This next one on the left here, we don't have to read what the question is asking because they give us an equation. They have I equals P over 4 pi times R squared. And then if we look at our answer choices, we have R squared equals, R squared equals, R squared equals. So it looks like we have to get R squared by itself. We have I equals P over 4 pi times r squared. Since r squared is by itself, the first thing that we can do, since r squared is in the bottom, we can multiply r squared on both sides to get rid of it. So on the right side, we can multiply by r squared, and since we have r squared on top and r squared on the bottom, those two will cancel. And on the left side, we're going to multiply by r squared as well. So on the left, we're going to have I times r squared. And on the right side, we're going to have P over 4 times pi. The next step to get r squared by itself is going to be to divide by I. When we divide by I, that's the same as multiplying by 1 over I. And what's going to happen is that I is going to multiply with the bottom of our fraction. And we're going to have R squared equals P times 1 is P. And then 4 pi times I is 4 pi I. And we're going to get that R squared equals P over 4 times pi times I, which is answer choice B. If you have any questions, make sure that you're including that in the chat. So here I have extra practice worksheets that go over a ton of the type of problems that we've been doing. If you want this emailed to you, include your email in the chat and I'll send it over to you at the end of the session. It goes over 66 different problems of linear functions, solving linear equations, and it provides the solutions as well in the bottom. So once again, if you want this emailed to you at the end of the session, then include your email in the comment section. So next we're going to be going over some linear function word problems. I know that a lot of you have word problems as your favorite. If you can't tell, I know that this is a joke. This is usually the part that students have the most trouble with. But it's not that hard once you get used to certain aspects of these questions. Then you're going to see that it's not so difficult at the end. So let's get started with this page. So for number 1, we have suppose that the water level of a river is 34 feet and that it is receding at a rate of 0.5 feet per day. Write an equation for the water level L after D days. And how many days will it take for the water level to be 26 feet? So when will L be equal to 26 after how many days? So we have that L is the dependent variable and D is the independent variable. So if we reread the first sentence, suppose that a water level of a river is 34 feet. So this sounds like our initial amount, which will be our constant. That is receding at a rate of 0.5 foot per day, half a foot per day, which is going to be 0.5x and then plus 34. This equation is of the form y equals mx plus b. The b, which in this case is going to be 34, is our starting point. M is going to be our rate, or how we change. So it says that the river's 34 feet. That's the starting water level for our situation. Then it says it is receding at a rate of half a foot per day. So since it's receding, this number of 34 feet is actually going down. So our rate of change will be negative 0.5 feet per day because it's receding by this much each day. And we get our equation L equals negative 0.5 D, the number of days, plus 34. So this is the equation. And then the question asks, in how many days will the water level be 26 feet? So what is the value of D when L is 26? So instead of L, we're going to plug in 26. And then we're going to solve for D. So our first step to get D by itself is to subtract 34 on each side. On the left side, 26 minus 34 is negative 8. And this is going to be equal to negative 0.5 D. And this positive 34 and minus 34 cancel each other out. Then to get D by itself, we have to divide by negative 0.5 on each side. Negative 8 divided by negative 0.5 is going to be positive 16, and this is what equals D. So after how many days will the water level be 26 feet? After 16 days. So I'm just going to make this a little bit smaller. Alright, number 2. Seth's father is thinking of buying his son a 6-month movie pass for $40. With the pass, manatees cost $1. If matinees are normally $3.50 each, how many times must Seth attend in order for it to benefit his father to purchase the pass? So the 6-month pass is $40. And then he has to pay $1 every time he buys one of these matinees. So 1 times X, where X is the number of matinees that he buys. And what we need to do, since we're trying to find at what value of X the purchase would be worth it, we're going to set this equal to $3.50 times that same number. So times X, 3.5 times X. And our goal is to get X by itself. What this is going to tell us is after how many matinees Seth will need to buy in order for both the 6-month pass and not having the 6-month pass to be equal. So the first step is to subtract 1x on both sides. On the left side it cancels and we just have 40. On the right side, 3.5 minus 1 is going to be 2.5x. The last step is going to be to divide by 2.5 on each side. And we'll get that x equals 40 over 2.5 is going to be 16. So after 16 matinees, both the movie pass and not having the movie pass will be the same amount. So he has to buy more than 16 in order for the 6-month pass to be worth it. Okay, give me one moment. Okay. So let's continue. So for number 3, we have for babysitting, Nicole charges a flat fee of $3 plus $5 per hour. So there's a flat fee of $3, then plus $5 times the number of hours. Remember, whenever we have a rate, $5 per hour, this is the number that gets the variable next to it. It says write an equation for the cost C after 8 hours of babysitting. What do you think the slope and the y-intercept represent? How much money will she make after 5 hours of babysitting? So we know that the cost is going to be represented by this equation, which is 3 plus 5 times the number of hours, which is h. The slope represents the price per hour. So slope is the price per hour. Remember, whatever has per hour or is a rate is what gets the variable, and this represents our slope. The y-intercept is the flat fee of $3. Since Nicole only charges $3 one time, that's a flat fee, and that represents our y-intercept. So how much money will she make if she babysits for 5 hours? So they're saying, what is the value of C? How much money will she make if the number of hours that she works is 5? So all we have to do is plug in 5 for H to figure out what C is. This is going to be 3 plus 5 times 5. We know 5 times 5 is going to be 25. And 3 plus 25 is 28. So if she works for 5 hours, she'll make a total of $28. Just one moment. Just want to make sure I'm good. Okay. So for number 4, a plumber charges $25 for a service call plus $50 per hour of service. Since we have $50 per hour of service, this is going to be our slope, or the number that gets the variable next to it. And since 25 is a service call, this is a one-time fee. Write an equation in slope-intercept form for the cost C after 8 hours of service. What will the total cost be of 8 hours of work for 8 hours of work and for 10 hours of work? So we know that our equation is going to be C equals, and we're going to have H in the equation. The dollars per hour, or the rate, is going to be 50 times the number of hours, and this is going to be plus our one-time fee of $25. And they want to know how much money, what would the total cost be when H equals 8 hours of work and for 10 hours of work. So first, for 8 hours, we're going to plug in 8 for H. So it's going to be 50 times 8 plus 25. 50 times 8 is going to be 400 plus 25 is 425. This will be the total cost if the plumber works for a total of 8 hours. For 10 hours, we're going to plug in 10 for H. It'll be 50 times 10 plus 25. 50 times 10 is 500 plus 25 is going to be 525. This will be the total cost in dollars if the plumber works for 10 hours. For number 5, we have Rufus collected 100 pounds of aluminum cans to recycle. He plans to collect an additional 25 pounds each week. Write and graph an equation for the total pounds P of aluminum cans after W weeks. What does the slope and y-intercept represent? How long will it take Rufus to collect 400 pounds of cans? So we have first that he collected 100 pounds of aluminum cans. So that's going to be our y-intercept, or the number with no variable. He plans to collect an additional 25 pounds each week. This each week part tells us that we have a rate. We have 25 pounds each week. So we're going to add this to 25 times the number of weeks. And this is going to equal the total number of pounds he has collected, which is P. They tell us, first, what does the slope and y-intercept represent? Remember, the slope is the number in front of our variable, which is 25. So our slope is the number of cans collected each week. Our y-intercept is going to be the number without a variable next to it. And it's how many cans he has collected so far. So, number of cans collected so far. How long will it take Rufus to collect 400 pounds of cans? So we want to know what is RW, how long will it take, when the number of pounds equals 400. So what we're going to do is, instead of P, we're going to plug in 400. We'll have 100 plus 25W equals P, which is going to be 400. To get W by itself, first we're going to subtract 100 on each side. Then we'll get 25W equals 400 minus 100, which is going to be 300. To get W by itself, we're going to divide each side by 25, and we'll get that W equals 300 divided by 25 is 12. So it'll take a total of 12 weeks before Rufus has picked up a total of 400 pounds of cans. One moment. For number 6, a canoe rental service charges a $20 transportation fee and $30 an hour to rent a canoe. Write and graph an equation representing the cost y of renting a canoe for X hours. What is the cost of renting a canoe for 6 hours? So they tell us that there's a $20 transportation fee and then $30 an hour to rent the canoe. So the $20 is a flat rate. You only pay that one time. And then we're going to pay $30 for each hour that we rent the canoe for. And this is going to equal y, which is the total cost for renting the canoe for X hours. So instead of H, they want it to be X. So we have 20 plus 30X equals Y. They want to know what will be the total cost, what will be Y, when we rent the canoe for 6 hours. So when X equals 6 hours. So all we have to do is plug in 6 for X. And we'll have 20 plus 30 times X. We know X is 6. And this is going to equal Y. This is going to be 20 plus 30 times 6 is 180. 20 plus 180 is going to be 200. So the total cost of the canoe after 6 hours is going to be $200. So if you haven't already, please make sure to subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be doing more live sessions like this. Just make sure that you like the video, comment, and we'll be back most likely next week, Monday or Tuesday. I'll have it up on the channel so that you guys can check when it is. I'll see you in the next one.